Hi everybody, I'm Ryan. Today we're going to talk about Aura Hexproof, also known as Bogles, in Pauper. Specifically how to sideboard against the top 10 most popular decks in Pauper. Hopefully you can use the knowledge that we learn how to sideboard against the top 10 most popular decks against all the other decks in Pauper. Let's jump into it. First off, I've already done a deck tech of this deck. If you want to check that out and an explanation of how the deck works and card choices and all that stuff, you should check that out on the channel. But let's jump into our sideboarding. The most popular deck in Pauper is Burn. Against Burn, we're going to be bringing in Spirit Links so that we can gain life and kind of outrace them. Freewind Falcon. Freewind Falcon is actually a little bit better than all our other hexproof creatures because Freewind Falcon can live through things like Electricity. And I'm actually a pretty big fan of Ram Through. Ram Through allowing us to gain more life if we have an Armadillo Cloak or a Spirit Link on a creature. But also against the Burn deck, it's really important that we're able to kill the Swift Spear and the Kessid Flame Breather and Thermo Alchemist and stuff like that. Just kind of stop their aggro. Speaking of stopping their aggro, it's really important that we get out of range of like End the Festivities and Electricity as fast as possible. So I'm not a fan of cards that don't increase our toughness. And so I like taking out the Rancors. Also, the 1 toughness creatures are really, really easily killed. We're not worried about like sacrifice effects. So I like cutting Cartouche of Solidarity. And we are cutting back on our other creatures. They're casting End the Festivities against us as fast as possible, like, anyway. So the 1 toughness, like, non-hexproof creatures are kind of bad. And it's really important we don't take out too many enchantments so that we can still cast stuff. So, you know, these Falcons are just replacing these creatures. We keep the creature count the same. And that's how I sideboard against Burn. The second most popular deck in Pauper is Affinity. Now, Affinity has kind of the deadly combo of possible sideboarded Electricity if they're afraid of us, and sacrifice effects like Chainer's Edict. Now, against Affinity, I actually like our primary strategy. You know, the Cartouches are pretty solid because we get to just sacrifice the extra thing over Chainer's Edict, but they don't have a ton of black removal. In fact, their primary removal is Galvanic Blast, so Valerian Outrider is not good. And there's a fear of Electricity, but like not a lot of decks play it in their sideboard anymore. But we do have a card in our deck that is just bad, and that's Spirit Link. And so we want to find a card in our sideboard to kind of replace that, even though there are no cards in our sideboard. We're like, we need that card. And so I just bring in a Freewind Falcon. You know, it can beat Galvanic Blast and is effectively hexproof against most of their deck. That's how I sideboard against Grixis Affinity. The third most popular deck is Mono Blue Fairies. Against Mono Blue Fairies, we are beginning to be bringing in Gutshot. Gutshot is amazing against the fairies, or especially in response to an exactly right spell starter sprite. Being able to kill one of the fairies in response to the trigger so that your thing isn't countered feels super good. For similar reasons, we are bringing in Ram Through just to be able to keep their creature count really low, and so they can't like ninja something in or whatever. And we're going to be bringing in Spirit Link. This is not a race. They're kind of trying to out-tempo you. Once we get going, we just win. We're bringing out Cartouche of Solidarity. They have no sacrifice effects. We're not worried about anything like that. And we're going to be shaving on our 3-mana spells. Mostly shaving on our 3-mana spells because we want to get to a point where we're double spelling and pumping things up as fast as possible. 3-mana spells don't really do that well. And that's why I sideboard against Mono Blue Fairies. The fourth most popular deck is the Familiars, Subscape Familiar, like Muldrifter, Archaeomancer deck. Against this deck, I like bringing in the Ram Throughs. You know, they really rely on being able to bounce their creatures, and a lot of the creatures have big butts, and a lot of creatures let them double spell, and we're afraid of all of those things. So I like bringing in the Ram Throughs. I don't like Spirit Link, obviously. This is not a race, and they don't have sacrifice effects, so we take out Cartouche. So that's how we sideboard against Familiars. The fifth most popular deck is Dimir Control, or also known as Dimir Tempo. I like calling it Dimir Tempo. Basically, they cast a bunch of spells and then play 1-mana 5/5s. I'm not worried about removing those 1-mana 5/5s because by the time they can cast them, hopefully we've done a really good job at you know, the aggro variant. However, Variant Outrider is pretty good because you know, it stops their black removal. Obviously, we're bringing out Spirit Link because it's not a race. We like Cartouche of Solidarity because they have sacrifice effects. So we're just going to shave on some creatures. I personally like shaving Ledgewalker here because I want to be able to draw cards with Spirited Companion. And so this is how I sideboard against Dimir Control. The sixth most popular deck is just Mono Blue. The Spire Golem, Ninja of the Deep Hours, not necessarily fairies, you know, a bunch of ninjas. And we're going to sideboard against them the same way because it's really important we deal with Spell Starter Sprite, really important they don't ninja in stuff. Obviously bringing out Spirit Link, bringing out Cartouche of Solidarity, and then Ancestral Mask for the same reason. And so I sideboard against just straight Mono Blue. The seventh most popular deck is the Mirror Match. Again, the Mirror Match, we're bringing in Standard Bearer. We are bringing in Gutshot for our opponent's Standard Bearers. And that is pretty much it. I'm not looking for big life swings. I want everything to deal damage, so I'm taking out Lifelink. There are no sacrifice effects for taking out Cartouche. There's an argument for keeping in Cartouche to, like, when your opponent doesn't have Trample, being able to chump block. I'm not a fan of that gameplay. And your opponent actually doesn't bring in that many like removal spells, or shouldn't be. So I actually like shaving a Ledgewalker instead of a Spirited Companion, because suiting up a Spirited Companion in this matchup is actually not that bad. And with that knowledge, it kind of makes Gutshot a little bit better coming in from the sideboard. That's why I sideboard against Bogles. The 8th most popular deck is Orzhov Ephemerate. Orzhov Ephemerate deck is a deck where all the creatures get a little bit of value when they enter the battlefield. They can ephemerate to get extra value and eventually outcard you. They have removal spells. They have Suffocating Fumes. A lot of really, really scary stuff. So I like bringing in Outlander because their actual removal is all black, so it's effectively hexproof. And I like bringing in Ram Throughs. Ram Through being able to take out their creatures, thus take out their blockers, thus take out their ephemerate stuff, I think is actually really powerful. So we are taking out Spirit Link because this is not a racy situation. We generally want to keep the same amount of creatures, and we like the hexproof and can't be blocked or upset by creatures with flying stuff against this deck. And so we're going to cut down a Spirited Companion. They just have so much removal. It's so tough. And then similar to our like affinity matchup, we are going to be shaving on Utopia Sprawls because we don't need to like get out super fast. It's not worth sacrificing a card for it. So this I sideboard against Orzhov Ephemerate. The 9th most popular deck in Pauper is Gruul Ponza, destroying lands, cascading into big dumb guys. Against Gruul Ponza, Freewind Falcon is excellent, being able to fly over their dumb guys, but also not dying to like Electrickery or Scred or things like that. And they aren't really relying on their creatures to like do things when they're on the battlefield, so I actually don't like bringing in Ram Through. That being said, we take out Cartouche of Solidarity and Spirit Link for the reasons we've said a million times, like there's no sacrifice effects, and it's not a race for Spirit Link. And we're going to be taking out Ledgewalker. We want our hexproof creatures to not die from Electrickery, obviously, like they all do, so we might as well bring the hexproof creature instead of the creature that gets value. So this is how I sideboard against Ponza. And the 10th most popular deck is Kogate. Against Kogate, I'm actually not a fan of like any card. However, there are some cards that we can bring in. The biggest card I don't want in my deck is Spirit Link, and so I like bringing in a single Ram Through just to replace a Spirit Link, and Ram Through can be pretty good, you know, against their creatures, especially if you get in the deep late game and they start Basilisk gating stuff. So I sideboard against Kogate. So there you have it. That is how to sideboard with Aura Hexproof, also known as Bogles, in Pauper against the top 10 most popular decks in Pauper. If you like this video, please be sure to like and subscribe. Check me out on social medias. Links are above me and in the description. As always, please pay extra attention to the Twitch. I would really appreciate it. I stream most nights there. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.